morning and a very warm welcome. You're watching Janata Television and this is the English Bulletin with me, Sushant Dhakal. The top stories first. Election Commission fails to recognize NCP division. The constitutional body backs NCP led by PM Oli. Dahal Nepal faction of NCP expels Oli from the party. Leaders accuse the Prime Minister of working against the nation. State laws fail to protect people with disability welfare provisions yet to reach differently abled people. US rejoins fight against climate change. Biden selects special envoy for climate adaptation summit. And Manchester United knock Liverpool out of the FA Cup. Bruno Fernandes becomes the difference maker between the two rivals. The Election Commission has ruled the decisions taken by the Dahal Nepal faction of Nepal Communist Party as unconstitutional. A meeting of the Election Commission yesterday concluded that the dissident faction's decision to reshuffle the positions of party leaders was against the Constitution. Therefore, the Election Commission said it fails to recognize such decisions. Chief Election Commissioner Dinesh Kumar Thapalia said that the Election Commission recognizes the ruling party prior to the current internal division. The Election Commission is preparing to send letters to both the factions of the party regarding its official stance. Dahal Nepal faction of Nepal Communist Party has expelled Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli from the party. A meeting of the dissident leaders held yesterday at party office in Paris Tana decided to expel PM Oli from the party. During yesterday's meeting, the NCP leaders noted that PM Oli's actions were against the country and the party. Party spokesperson Nankaji Shrestha informed that they decided to take the action against Oli after he did not respond to the clarification sought by the party. Meanwhile, the NCP faction said they will soon announce phase-wise protest against the government's move to dissolve the lower house. The standing committee meeting of the Dahal Nepal faction of NCP is taking place later today. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has labelled those opposing the dissolution of House of Representatives as anti-state elements. Speaking at a program in the capital yesterday, PM Oli said seeking people's mandate isn't anything to be afraid of. PM Oli added, opting for people's fresh mandate wasn't an autocratic move.
संवैधानिक भयो अलोकतान्त्रिक भयो भनेर कराइरहेका छन् ती कराउने मान्छेहरू संविधान विरोधी ती कराउने मान्छेहरू लोकतन्त्र विरोधी ती कराउने मान्छेहरू देश विरोधी ती कराउने मान्छेहरू जनविरोधी मान्छेहरू जो कराइरहेका छन्.
PM Oli further said that the parliament is not a place that provides fixed salaries to the MPs for 5 years. He claimed that the elections will be held in upcoming summer at any cost. He also claimed that the leaders of the Dahal Nepal faction were mentally sick.
मानसिक रूपमा सबभन्दा बढी अपाङ्ग छ. ठुला हुनुहुने मान्छे त्यो अपाङ्गता डरलाग्दो छ. देख्दाखेरि ठिक्कै देखिने तर भित्रभित्रै.
PM Oli said that the people should be allowed to evaluate his actions as well as the actions of other leaders. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Coronavirus has claimed 7 more lives in the country, taking the death toll to 2001. The government yesterday confirmed 270 new cases of coronavirus across the country. Following the latest round of tests, the total cases of coronavirus in the country have climbed to 269,450, while the number of active cases has dropped to 3,312. According to the Ministry of Health and Population, altogether 264,137 infected persons have recovered from the disease in the country so far. Nepal is currently among the top 44 countries that have been most affected by the pandemic. The USA tops the list with 25.69 million confirmed cases, followed by India with 10.66 million cases. Coronavirus has infected more than 99.74 million people across the world and claimed over 2.13 million lives. People with disabilities depend upon compassion and love from others. Legally, no stone is unturned to bring them to justice, but they are still living a tough life. Krishna Bahadur Bika, after losing both his legs by birth, walks with the help of his hands. He needs a wheelchair. Although the term disabled has been replaced by differently able in today's context, people like Ram Prasad Shah, who don't have sight, have suffered discrimination all their lives. Shashi Bahadur Paudel, who is mentally disabled, expressed his concerns about how many associations pretend to be working for the welfare of the disabled, but no tangible effect is seen. Similarly, Vidya Lakshmi Mananda is a mute and needs to communicate through sign language, but most of the places that she goes to for goods and services don't have people who understand her. Although it is true that the state does have laws for the welfare of the differently abled, with budget being allocated especially for them, the disabled are not only denied justice but struggle with self-respect as well. And now the news from the economic front. The Finance Ministry has completed the half-yearly budget review, which shows that the capital expenditure currently stands at 50.82 billion rupees, while the current expenditure is 342.36 billion. The Finance Ministry reviewed the budget in a program with the presence of secretaries of all concerned ministries. As per the review, the capital expenditure stood at rupees 50.82 billion, which is 14.4% of the total budget, and recurrent expenditure stood at rupees 342.36 billion, or 36.08%. The government's revenue collection stood at rupees 380 billion during the review period, while foreign grant was rupees 5.61 billion and foreign debt rupees 30.04 billion. Finance Minister Vishnu Prasad Paudel said that the Ministry of Finance has facilitated and discussed to increase the capital expenditure by carrying out development works with health security measures even during the pandemic. According to the ministry, non-budgetary demands during the implementation of the budget, including the demands for additional budget, neglect of financial accountability law, not paying enough attention to budget allocation and remittances, pressure to revise programs, not paying attention to budget formulation, reluctance to mobilize foreign aid are the main challenges. In order to make the budget implementation effective, the Ministry of Finance will implement the allocated budget and approved programs in the coming days. And now the international news. The United States is preparing to mark its return to the global fight against climate change by joining high-level talks on ways to better protect people and economies from the effects of global warming. Less than a week after President Joe Biden announced the return of the United States to the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement, his special climate envoy, John Kerry, will join the Climate Adaptation Summit later today. According to Reuters, this online event, hosted by the Netherlands, aims to set out practical solutions and plans for dealing with climate change in the period until 2030. Ahead of the summit, more than 3,000 scientists from across the globe pressed leaders to better protect people from the fallout of global warming. Our fast-warming world is already experiencing major disruptions, from more intense droughts, fires, heat waves, floods, destructive tropical cyclones and other extreme events, the scientists, including 5 Nobel laureates, said in a statement. Unless we step up and adapt now, the results will be increasing poverty, water shortages, agricultural losses, and soaring levels of migration with an enormous toll on human life. There is no vaccine for climate change, GCA Chair and former United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon told reporters on the eve of the event. Dutch police have arrested the alleged leader of a large Asian drug syndicate who is listed as one of the world's most wanted fugitives. According to Reuters, the arrested drug leader has been compared to Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Shi Chi-lop, a Chinese-born Canadian national, was detained on Friday at the request of Australian police. Dutch police spokesperson Thomas Aline said that an investigation found his organization dominates the 70 billion a year Asia-Pacific drug trade. Say is expected to be extradited after appearing before a judge, Aline said, adding that his arrest by national police took place without incident at Amsterdam's Schiphol airport. You're watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. A superb 78th minute free kick from Portuguese Bruno Fernandes gave Manchester United a thrilling victory in the FA Cup against old rivals Liverpool. The match was the opposite of the game the two played a week earlier in the Premier League, which ended in a stalemate. Liverpool led the contest through Mohamed Salah in the 18th minute, while United came back with goals from Mason Greenwood in the 26th minute and led 2-1 from a 48th minute Marcus Rashford strike. Salah equalized with his second in the 58th minute, with the game destined to go into extra time. But in a game which had everything, Bruno Fernandes came off the bench to have the final word after Fabinho had fouled Edinson Cavani on the edge of the penalty box. The Portuguese bent his shot around the wall and beyond Liverpool's goalkeeper Alisson's reach to settle the tie in favour of the Red Devils. With the win, Manchester United will take on West Ham in the 5th round of the FA Cup on February 11th. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin, and the headlines once again. Election Commission fails to recognize NCP division. The constitutional body backs NCP led by PM Oli. The Hal Nepal faction of NCP expels Oli from the party. Leaders accuse the Prime Minister of working against the nation. State laws fail to protect people with disability. Welfare provisions yet to reach differently abled people. US rejoins fight against climate change. Biden selects special envoy for climate adaptation summit. And Manchester United knock Liverpool out of the FA Cup. Bruno Fernandes becomes the difference maker between the two rivals. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.